Today, I want to talk about the silent killer of homesteading, and that silent killer is burnout. It's the weight that creeps in when the chores pile up, the projects are never ending, and passion ends up turning into a prison. If you're a homesteader or if you're thinking about becoming a homesteader, hopefully this video is a wake-up call for you. Because burnout is not only just bad, but it can steal your joy, your health, and even your purpose in life. Let's dive in.
Lewis Works.
So why does burnout happen in homesteading? There's so many constant demands when you do homesteading. You've got gardening, you've got bad weather you got to think about, animals, and it just almost seems like those chores never end. There's always something else that you need to do. There's always something to be taken care of. And there's really not much of an off switch either. You know, when you go to your job and you work from 9 to 5 or whenever you go to work, you know that there's a set time for you to start and there's a set time for you to end. But with homesteading, things just kind of happen. You know, sometimes trees might fall down, animals might die. There's just so many different variables that you have to think about when it comes to homesteading. And many things can happen and many surprises can occur that you may not have planned for. It's almost like the possibility for work is just endless. I remember the last house that we lived in, we had so many projects we was doing on the house. And I remember that I felt like the house was complete. I felt that all of the major things that needed to be done to update the house, for the house to be sold, was complete. And I remember there was some very small, insignificant things that could have been upgraded. And my wife wanted me to work on those things. And I told her, I said, you know what, baby, that little bit of work that you think is really important is not really gonna change the price of the house. We're not gonna be able to sell the house for more with the work that you think we should do. So what we had to do was prioritize what was important and what wasn't important. And it's kind of the same thing with homesteading. You've got, the possibilities are endless. You can do anything you want almost. If you have the land, if you have the property, there's so many different projects you can get into. But what you want to make sure that you do, you want to prioritize what's important and what's not really important. And then there's the financial side of homesteading too. Some people think that you're going to save a lot of money with homesteading, but it's not always the case. As a matter of fact, oftentimes you have to put in money to start certain projects. For instance, if you buy chickens, well, you're gonna have to buy a chicken coop or build a chicken coop. Then you're gonna have to buy feed. And there's a few other materials you need to take care of chickens properly as well. Or if you do gardening and you live out in the country like me, I have to have a fence around my garden. Otherwise, deer and rabbit will just eat everything up. And let me tell you, wood is not cheap. It's pretty expensive to buy wood and it costs money to do those things. Sure, there are ways that you can save money, but to think that you're gonna homestead and there's not gonna be any money required is not true. It's not true at all. And you may not save as much money as you think. What does burnout look like? It may look like emotional flatness. Maybe you're no longer excited about the projects that you used to be excited about. Now, I'm not saying that you have to enjoy everything, and when it comes to feeding animals and doing laborious tasks that you have to be excited. But what I am saying is that there should be some kind of motivation to do those things. And if you're really not motivated to do those things, then maybe you may be dealing with burnout. Burnout could look like neglecting tasks that you should be doing daily. If you're always procrastinating and just letting projects just pile up, maybe the reason that you're procrastinating and this is occurring is because you're burnt out. Or if you're burnt out, you could be irritable, right? You might be snapping on your loved ones or getting upset, and things that really shouldn't bug you start to bug you when you start dealing with burnout. And so burnout is really just physical and mental exhaustion from doing nonstop work or just working harder than what you really should be working. How do you avoid burnout? What are some things or what are some steps that you can take to avoid burnout? First thing I would say is automate and delegate. Automate and delegate. Automating could look like drip irrigation. I'm going to tell you some of the things that I do to automate some of my chores in my homestead. For my chickens, I bought a deer feeder, and that deer feeder feeds them 4 times a day. I use my deer feeder, and I also use a water barrel. And so that water barrel, I never have to fill it. When it rains, the water fills up, and the chickens they drink water from the water nipples under the water barrel. And then I use an automatic chicken coop door. So instead of me having to open and close the door every day, the door opens at a certain time and it closes at a certain time at night. And that probably saves me about total, maybe about an hour each day. Because I have to walk outside, and then I've got to scoop food up, and I've got to give them water. And instead of doing all of that, it's all automated. For my gardening, I do work on the front end, so there's less work towards the middle and the end pretty much. And the best way that I've found to garden is to use wood chips. So the wood chips decreases the amount of weeds, and I don't really water my garden that much. I may water it maybe once or twice a month, if that, and that's pretty much it. For delegating, if you have a family, let your kids do some work. Maybe there's something that your husband or your wife can do. Don't just do everything on your own. Include your family in it. And I think that it is a learning process for all of you. And it's a really great way for the whole family to bond, and something that helps provide for the nourishment of your family. Also, if you want to avoid burnout, try not doing too much at one time. And this is something that I'm really bad about. I love getting as much work as I can in the least amount of time that I can, but sometimes it's good to spread those things out. Instead of doing a whole task in just one day, maybe you can kind of cut that task up in bits and segments and do it over the course of a week. Then another thing that's going to help you with burnout is reconnecting to your why. Why do you want to do homesteading? Why is it important? Sometimes we have to figure out, what is that initial thing that motivated us to do this in the first place? Some people may do homesteading because they think it'll help them with their health, right? Some people, it may be a mental health thing. Some people like going outside to garden because it helps them relieve stress. If you keep that why in the forefront of your mind, it's going to almost give you the strength and energy you need to be able to press past that burnout and to accomplish the tasks that you need to accomplish. And then you can plan for recovery days. You don't need to work every single day. Maybe there's 1 or 2 days that's built into your week that you can just relax and not really worry about much. And it's okay to do that sometimes, especially if you have things automated. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to be like, you know what? I've worked hard this week. I'm going to take this day off, and I'm going to find ways to enjoy my day instead of working so hard that I can't enjoy it. And also, if you're a Christian, you can place those burdens on Christ. If you're struggling or if you're frustrated with the things that you're doing, seek the Lord and ask Him for wisdom and ask Him for guidance, and place that burden that may be on you, place it on the Lord. Bring your burdens to the Lord, and I promise you, you're going to be happy for it. Burnout is real, and it doesn't have to be the end of your homesteading journey. Give yourself permission to rest, slow down, relax, and enjoy the simple things in life. If this message hit home, do me a favor and hit that like button. Share this with someone who may need it, and subscribe for more real talk and more solutions. You're not alone in this journey. See you in the next video. If you like what you saw today, subscribe and tap that notification bell. Until next time, stay diligent.
Want more? Watch one of these videos next. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated.